My God, that music still gets me pumped, even after all this time. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome along to Thursday night, 8:30 in the evening. The Third and Long podcast is on the air. I am, of course, the incomparable Welsh wizard, Shane Harris. Above me is a podcast OG, Mr. Oliver Butler Henderson. In my top right corner is my beautiful little cherub, Baby Hope. And my boy is here as well, Mr. Philip Perrins, media teacher extraordinaire. Gentlemen, how have your weeks been? I will start with my adorable little cherub first. Baby Hope, what's going on?
Honestly, it's been a pretty good week. It's been nice and quiet at work, which we like. But unfortunately, this is actually my last show for 3 weeks.
Whoa. What?
I'm gonna be out of the country for the next 2 shows.
Does that mean we're going to get ratings for the next 3 weeks?
Yeah.
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 Where are you going, boy?
I'm going to a few places on a cruise.
Ooh, very exotic.
I fly next Wednesday, so I'm gonna miss the next 2.
Who's going with you on this cruise?
My dad and my sister for my dad's
Happy
60th birthday. So yeah.
OBH, what's going on, bud?
Yeah, good week. Myself and Baby, I've had a really good chat with Matt from JTT Cup on Tuesday.
That was good.
On go back onto wherever you get your podcast from, have a listen to it. Get involved in the charity. Go to @JTT Cup on Twitter or on Facebook. Join the league that they're going. The money raised for it goes to absolutely brilliant charity. Every penny that you can put towards them is a brilliant help. So yeah, please go and join that league because it's absolutely superb and it's a really good chat with Matt. Really nice guy. Obviously, Shane, you met him as well at Tottenham this year, haven't you? Or last year?
Did very briefly.
Yeah. Really nice guy. Yeah. Really good chat. I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, it was really interesting to hear his perspective, and he's a Jets fan, so you have to give him some.
Oh yeah, I remember him telling me. I felt so bad for him. Mr. P, how's your week been, boy? What's going on? I'll say it again. Mr. P, how's your week been, boy? What's going on?
I didn't even hear that. I just heard, how's your week gone? I was like, is he talking to me or is he talking to Hender?
Yes, because you're the only one I haven't asked yet.
So, yeah, it's been all right. It's been long. It's been like a crawl to the finish line, which is the spring term. We've got tomorrow, and then I'm done for 2 and a bit weeks, which is going to be very, very nice. And then I've got some big things happening in the next couple of weeks as well, which I'm not going to divulge too much on air. But when I do, I'll tell you guys first. A world exclusive.
World exclusive.
They call him Mr. Media, see?
And
Mr. Worldwide.
Mr. P.
Mr. Worldwide.
Mr.
I just asked him that.
Yeah, I know.
How's your week been, Mr. Harris?
It's been 3 years.
I know. Let's just say those strong bows are going to be well earned on the weekend. And also, I hate people. I really, really, really do. Yeah, just a brief one.
Well, just everyone apart from us 3.
Oh, well, obviously, yeah. Certain company notwithstanding.
Am I in the bad books because I'm missing the next 2 weeks?
You're never in my bad books, baby. You couldn't be in my bad books. You're too adorable.
I want to ask, right? I'm gonna ask these guys. Yes, we're an NFL show, and yes, I know these two are massive wrestling fans. But baby, how did you feel the UK games atmosphere was the wrestling?
So I forgot about Raw on Monday, so didn't watch that. But I enjoyed SmackDown on Friday, and the atmosphere seemed quite good. But there have been some NFL UK games where the atmosphere has been electric. I'll reference the Bills game a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And the Vikings game this year.
Green Bay sucks.
Yeah, Green Bay was great too.
No, as in the Green Bay suck chance.
Yeah. Yeah, There was a Green Bay fan near us for the Green Bay suck chants, and there was can't remember his name, but a Jets guy dressed up as Boba Fett. That was fun. He was getting all the Jets fans. He had a name, I can't remember it though. I think I said
because he got a jet pack in it. That's really clever.
I think I said it on the podcast at the time, but I can't remember his name now. But there have been some good atmospheres at the London Games.
Mr. Perrins.
I think if we're going to compare it to like the WWE, it's especially when the international series first starts and like it comes straight over from like the States, and the crowd are really, really hot, and the crowd feeds off the electricity that the teams are giving off. And it's the same with like WWE, like, because we don't get it very often, but when they do these tours and they're expanding these tours, the European and the UK crowds make it count, because they don't get them as much as like in America, where they get it every single week, so they take it for granted in a particular way. So like when it comes to like the UK international series for like the NFL, if you'll probably find like the first game, whether or not it's in September or October, will just be electric. And I think the NFL schedules the stronger games to be the starting games of those series. And if the teams unfortunately come into the season or come into like the actual game itself poor or not very dynamic, it's amazing how quickly the atmosphere can change in a stadium when the players aren't giving off the same as the fans. Players can be very much like sponges for like an audience. We talk about like how athletes and showmen feed off crowds, but if they're not giving anything back for the crowds to keep going, it can be it can become very, very tiresome very, very quickly. But that's just my kind of like showmanship analysis of both wrestling and NFL crowds.
Shano?
There's nobody better equipped to talk about showmanship than yours truly, obviously. But Phil, cast your mind back to the very last weekend that we saw each other.
Yes.
Backlash France we watched, didn't we? And that crowd was absolutely mental. They were singing songs in French. The superstars were stood there. They didn't know what to do because the atmosphere was so electric. And that's what happens when you bring a predominantly American product like the NFL over to different markets, and there's different crowds, different behaviors, different cultures, you know? And I think it's great that the fact that both WWE are doing another pay-per-view in France. I think it's Clash in Paris. It's coming up fairly soon. And then obviously with all the NFL games. Exactly, yeah, but they've been doing the house show tours for years, haven't they? I went to a couple in Cardiff. I went to a raw taping in Birmingham once. That was years ago. For some reason, the crowds now are way more passionate than they were in years past. And as I said, it's really good that the WWE and the NFL is expanded into Europe, and it's going to be interesting to see how the audiences take to the games and react, because it breaks my heart. My favorite two occasions in the last 2 years is going to the NFL games in London. Obviously, everyone knows seeing the Ravens play in the flesh was the best day of my whole entire life. And not just that, the fact that I got to experience it with you three as well, that was just a thrill beyond compare. And seeing the Jets and Vikings game last year as well with my good buddy OBH, that was also a memorable experience, which I'll never forget.
When he turned up, that is.
I got to come from Bristol, shush, right? But
I had to come from Bath, and I got there with plenty of time.
Yeah, man.
I left the house at like 7 a.m. But yeah, anyway, it's going to be a pain. It's going to be a pain to get tickets this year, but it just goes to show how well the NFL have done for globing the brand globally.
Yeah, I think me and Ollie are putting a pre-sale this year.
Yeah, we're on the pre-sale only, same as Wembley, I think.
Sick.
But yeah, it's brilliant. I mean, what I found, especially watching like the London, is over the whole games. You can see the wrestlers, like Cody Rhodes' song. They literally are chanting his song. The music's finished, and they're still singing it a cappella. And he's like, just take it all in. Randy Orton's song, CM Punk's song, chanting "Gunther's a certain anchor." That was quite funny on Monday.
They make themselves a part of the show. They take over sometimes. They make themselves, because they're big what we call in the business marks. They basically try and take over the show.
Yeah,
and it was absolutely brilliant. I really enjoyed the crowd, and like you said, it's the crowd. Whenever the NFL comes over here, it's a different type of atmosphere. It's more of a party atmosphere than it is in America, because obviously America is our team. We've got to win. Go team. Over here, it's like
fight and win. Like
over half of them just want to just come here to watch the game, enjoy the game, have a good time, make a big beer snake and stuff like that. And
the atmosphere at a game in America where it's like 90-95% one team is very different to the atmosphere in the UK, where it's kind of, as you said, probably 60-70% are probably neutrals.
Yeah.
Or I have just picked one team for that game because they want to have some kind of support.
Yeah,
we do. I don't really go right. You know, love it.
And you take your cans to the stadium and they get confiscated. Yes, I remember.
Mate, you didn't even get your cans into the stadium, isn't it?
I know.
It was the fan zone where they got confiscated, wasn't it?
I bought four of them. Yeah, I bought 4 of them from a shop. I even asked some bloke, I said, excuse me, but where'd you get those from? It's a shop over there. Went to the shop, bought 4 bow, drank 1.5. I think I left one. I put one in the bin, which is heresy in itself. I had to give 2 away because I couldn't get in a fan zone with them. Wrong. Sick.
Right. Let's do it.
This is the news in 60.
Okay, so let's have a quick rundown of the news that we've had this week so far, because it's been short and it's been far away. So let's start with something that broke about an hour ago with Geno Smith having a 2-year extension worth up to $85 million with the Raiders. New deal. Obviously, he only signed with them in the offseason this year after a trade with Seahawks. Scott Hanson heads to voice the iconic Madden 26 game next year. Bringing his signature enthusiasm to the gridiron. Are we going to hear, though, 7 hours commercial-free football on the game?
I hope so.
The thing is, he doesn't. It's not going to be an authentic experience because he doesn't commentate on the games, does he?
No.
Yeah. So if you remember a couple of years ago, we're talking about 15 years ago, when Madden used to actually put effort into their games. There was a mode when it used to be from like the ESPN desk, and was it Rappaport or
that? It was it? No. It was like literally like a video. Kind of like, and he was like literally talking about like stuff around the league that week, and it was the video of him doing like the games in the Madden. Was it? I thought it was Rappaport. Yeah, it was Chris Berman. I'm sure it was.
A couple of years ago, they had a little cutscene of Good Morning Football with Kyle Brandt. I think it was Jamie Erdahl then, and Schrager. They had a cutscene of that a couple of years ago.
What we're on about that bit then. Schrager stepped away from Good Morning Football after 9 years. Only Carl Brandt is left from the original 4 that started up way back when. Obviously with Cadence, Pete Schrags, and Nate Urso, who is gone to CBS. The Chiefs enjoy playing on Christmas so much that they've just asked the NFL if they could do that regular, after the NFL have announced they will try and get 3 games every Christmas Day, 2 on Netflix, 1 on Amazon Prime.
They're trying to turn into the Dallas of Thanksgiving on Christmas.
Yeah. The Baltimore Ravens show faith in their leadership by extending the contract to their head coach, John Harbaugh. Is it 3 years?
Love you, John. Yes, 2 years. I love you, John. I love you. Yes, 2 years, but I love you, John.
The Bills have locked down Brentford. Bills have secured their key piece in the secondary, announcing contract extension. Cornerback Christian Brentford. It's a 4-year deal. The NFL teams have now have processed or will know. Both NFL teams will now have possession in overtime during the regular season. It's something that they had in the postseason, but is now going to take place in the regular season. 10 minutes going each way.
Can we just go back to this? So it was that they changed it. It didn't work. So then they tweaked it for the off season, for the postseason, and now we're back to where we started.
Yeah, I not seen the full in and out of it, but it's that. The league will continue to evaluate the controversial tush push play, and further discussions will take place in May at the next meeting. The Baltimore Ravens show faith in their leadership by extending the contract to their head coach, John Harbaugh. Is it 3 years?
Love you, John. Yes, 2 years, but I love you, John.
John Harbaugh. where would you like to start? Let's start with Shano and John Harbaugh staying in Baltimore for the next 3 years. Guaranteed.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I love you, John. Stay forever. Yeah, I mean, like, there's only been 3 coaches in Baltimore Ravens history: Ted Marchibroda, Brian Billick, Super Bowl winning coach Brian Billick, and John Harbaugh. Again, Super Bowl winning coach John Harbaugh. And like, I think with my fandom, he's been there for a long time now. I think he's the second longest tenured coach in the NFL at the minute, behind what's his face in Pittsburgh.
Mike Tomlin.
Yeah, him as well. Yeah, but I love this, and I don't. But the thing is, I don't think a lot of the Ravens fan base are too enamored with it. With the fact that we're always knocking on the door, but we can't get past certain hurdles. And you're gonna love it when I say this, because especially you, baby, are gonna bask in me saying this. We haven't won the big one since 2013. It's been 12, 13 years by the time we kick off. 12 years by the time we kick off this season. So I love John. But I think this next 3 years is going to be his last, if he lasts 3 years, because I wouldn't be surprised if Mike McDonald comes back to Baltimore at some point. But yeah, I love John. I'm so happy he's sticking around for another 3 years.
Yeah, I think it's your quarterback that's the issue, not your coach.
It's your mouth that's the issue.
It's funny that you said he's the second longest coach, because Pittsburgh are beating Baltimore again.
They don't have a quarterback at the minute. I am watching their empire crumble, and I'm relishing in it. They're gonna dig up Aaron Rodgers, 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers, from his darkness retreat and convince him to play in the center, and he's just gonna fall apart, and it's gonna be iconic to watch.
Aaron Rodgers is then going to carve up your defense like a knife through warm butter.
Don't be daft, Lou.
What do
I don't know. Let's go back to this when you're drying your tears after the Steelers drop 40 on you. This conversation.
Don't be daft, Lou.
Twice. That's all he said. Twice.
I want to get your feelings on Craig stepping away from Good Morning Football after 9 years. Like I said, it's only Carl Brandt that is left on the original team now. Baby hope.
Well, they replaced Nate with Jason McCourty, and then the new guy, Akbar Miller, is it?
Yeah.
What's his name, baby? What's his name?
I liked Jason McCourty. I'm not as big a fan of Akbar Miller. They replaced Kay Adams with Jamie Erdahl, and I prefer Jamie Erdahl. So I found every time they've replaced someone, they've kind of upgraded. So I don't see why they're not going to do that again. They might get Manti Te'o on full time, and I really like him on GMFB. He's on there. He's on there most days anyway. So they might just make him full time. Yeah, The Girlfriend That Never Was. Great Netflix show if you guys haven't seen that.
Story of my life.
No, seriously, go on Netflix.
Believe me, you don't want to experience what he experienced. Believe me.
No, it was 3 years of his cousin, something like that, pretending to be his girlfriend.
No, it was his cousin's. Like, he connected her through his cousin or something.
Yeah, pretended to be his girlfriend for like 3-4 years, all the way through college, all the way up to like the last year of his college career, and it pretty much ruined his NFL career.
Yeah, he would have been a first round pick if this didn't happen.
Yeah, brilliant. It's a brilliant story.
There's a documentary on Netflix if you want to watch it. It's very good.
Yeah, very, very good. Yeah, I mean, I'm a massive fan of Karen's. I think she was absolutely brilliant, and that dynamic of those 4 that they had when they originally had, I don't think it'll ever be replaced, because they had 5 years nearly together of doing it. Massive. I like Nate Burleson. I think he's absolutely brilliant. Carl Brandt's energy is ridiculous.
I think
Schweig's football knowledge is undoubtable, and his contacts are brilliant. And Kay was a brilliant presenter.
I think Carl's going to go soon, because although this hasn't come out, I don't think either Peter or Kyle likes the fact that they're having to fly to and from LA every week and do some shows from New York, some from LA. Yeah. So I think Kyle might be on his way out too.
Yeah, so Schrags has gone to ESPN. He's still going to do like the game day stuff and things like that for NFL Network, but he is staying he is going off to ESPN. So that's going to be good over there. Might see him on a certain show that takes place every day at about 4:00 UK time.
Do you think he's going on Pat McAfee?
Oh, he's got to be on there every now and then, hasn't he?
So yeah, of course you have. If they're under the ESPN umbrella, the two of them, of course you have.
I can see Mr. Perrins contemplating something.
I don't know. I think I'm just like the only one that didn't really rate him. Like I used to kind of find him really irritating and cringe, and he was on there for like 9 years. Wasn't it reported just before the end of the season that Good Morning Football was going to have a bit of a shake up anyway because they're looking to like downsize a little bit, cut the corner off production costs and all that kind of stuff. And how often let's apply it to sports for a second. How often does one player stay at one team for 9 years?
Right.
Really... These days, but it's just more about money than loyalty these days.
Exactly, and let's now apply it directly to like sports coverage. And yes, it's not the same. They're not, doing the exact same things. But sports panels, news panels, they change fairly regularly because it's new era, new blood, new voices, new opinions, something fresh. If you've got the same talking heads talking with their same points of view for a long period of time, you get your Skip Baylesses. You get those ones that they sound like a broken record because Shannon Sharp was brilliant, but Shannon Sharp didn't last on Undisputed as long as he probably should have, and then they tried it with Richard Sherman, and then they kind of like that went out, and but the same kind of like negative has always gone back to being Skip Bayless. We don't want these people to become Skip Bayless with their same points of view. And how many times every single off season do we hear the likes of Skip saying it's the Cowboys year? I love Dak. Oh my God, we're gonna get numbers. Blah 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 blah. And I think it's good. I think it's good for a change. We don't see football managers being in power for like 9 years often. Without something to show for it. We don't see players often stay at teams for 9+ years. I think this is really good for broadcasting. But that's just my opinion.
Man, you're all welcome to opinion.
To be fair, you probably have the most credible opinion being a media teacher.
Thank you. But it's opinions are like noses. Everyone's got one. Everyone can pick at it.
Yeah. Nice.
Some pick at much more than others.
Yes.
Right. Dino Smith.
Okay, I've got a lot to say about this one.
Go on, boy.
Okay, have I gone to sleep and woken up in some world where Gino is a $42.5 million quarterback a year? Is this some sort of dreamland I've woken up in? Because
I don't know, but I want his agent.
Yeah, his agent deserves a hell of a
I don't know why you were laughing. He's going to be the face of your franchise for years now. I don't know why you were laughing.
His agent has got to be Jerry Maguire. Like,
I think he has the same agent.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, show me the money.
Yeah, he must have the same agent as Jermaine Genius, because how he ended up hosting the World Cup tour a couple of years ago. So yeah, his agent deserves a big raise and what is Tom Brady?
And he will get one.
Yeah, what is Tom Brady paying at? Because $85.5 million dollar deal for a quarterback that at his best is mid, and he's not even got anyone to throw to. He's like they don't have wide receivers. Jacoby Myers is that only, and Brock Bowers, to be fair, he's good, but like. And did they sign a running back? I feel like they signed a running back. No, they're going to get Genty. But I mean, I just feel like $85.5 million is an obscene amount of money for a QB that had 2 good years in Seattle when he had 3 top quality wide receivers to throw to.
I'm going to get Bold's opinions just out of interest. I haven't messaged him yet, but I will do. But I'm going to go to our resident Raiders fan, Mr. Perrins.
Now, I can honestly see, obviously, I see Baby's point of view because I think Gino is a very serviceable quarterback. In fact, I'll go one step further in this argument. I think he's a bridging quarterback to where they want to go next. Now, there's no real standouts I don't think that. I think the Raiders can really invest in that. I think they really want to go in from like this particular draft, and maybe next year. We don't really know their plans yet. We don't really know what Tom Brady actually is going to like incorporate with him taking over the football side of the football business. However, if we take a step back, Gino has worked with Carroll, right? He obviously knows that scheme. Pete is going to want to run his offense that he ran in Seattle. Who is the best quarterback that's available at this present time that is kind of young enough, kind of moldable enough, I should say, that can fit that particular playbook? And I think Gino is a better option than, say, if it was going to be Russell or whatever. Now, the extension is obviously, to pad him out to make it worthwhile going to Vegas. There's probably also going to be some incentives in that as well. But I see this very much as a bridging move that kind of like satisfies your brand new head coach that you're paying a lot of money for. And also you don't really have that quarterback that can actually win. You've got quarterbacks that can lose your games, and I'm saying this as a Minshew fan, but I don't really think O'Connell is long term, and I think their office know that. He can be plugged in as a backup, very serviceable backup, but I think this is very much a short term kind of deal for the Raiders. And again, the Raiders haven't been in the playoffs for over a decade.
2014 when Carl broke his leg?
Yeah. And this is what we're talking about. And they're in a ridiculously difficult kind of like division anyway. I mean, they play the Broncos, they play the Chiefs, they play the Chargers. It's not easy. Like, it's not an easy one for them. And, I wouldn't be surprised again if they finish 4th place. Okay, whatever. But I think Gino is better than what they had. And I think we have to be very, very subjective when we say this. He's better than what they had. And that is just the paying market for quarterbacks at the moment. Because as we say multiple times, multiple off seasons since I've known you guys, the market seems to reset at least 3 times a season. Because with the increase of the salary cap, and quarterbacks wanting more, yada, 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 that's just going to be the way that it works. And just going over my previous point again, I think it's just a bridging. I think it's literally to satisfy Pete Carroll until they can get their house in order. The 49ers did the same thing. The 49ers did the exact same thing when Kyle came in.
Maybe.
Okay, so I've got a few points. You talked about incentives. It's $66 million guaranteed.
66.
But there's incentives on top of that. I mean, that's just not the fact that combined it was going to be like nearly 80 odd million that he can get up to.
Yeah.
85 million. So yeah, guaranteed 66, but the incentive as well. I mean, he's a quarterback that's going into his 30s. This is his 3rd or 4th team?
3rd, I think.
Jets.
So Jets. He can go
I think he went to the Chargers and was back up for a year or 2.
That's what I thought. Like, this is his 4th team going into his 30s. So he's playing for his incentives, and he's playing for coin.
And
trying to do that, anew.
Just you talk about bridging quarterback. First off, they've way overpaid if he's a bridging quarterback. I don't think he's even that good, but that's just my opinion. But I just think if they wanted to go and get somebody that can run Carroll's offense, they should have got more aggressive and gone and got Russell Wilson for 2 years.
Russell Wilson.
Yeah, but he has 2 years. If we all think this is a bridge for 2 years, then they go get another quarterback. In next year's draft, it's pretty deep for quarterbacks. There's a couple of good ones coming out. So why go get Geno Smith for 2 years when you go get Russell Wilson, who worked for Carroll for a lot longer, has a better relationship with Carroll and can run that offense better?
Can I just say this though? I think, and we should know this better than anyone, baby, is when we think of Russell Wilson now, we're not talking about Super Bowl winning Russell Wilson. We're talking about Russell Wilson that has an insane amount of miles on the clock as it is. Okay, he is like, if he would have gone to the Raiders last year or instead of going to Denver, if he would have gone to the Raiders, I think that would have been a very great move for him, because there was talk about that he wanted to go to Vegas because his wife Ciara wanted to have a residential, so like basically it would be the perfect setup for them. Okay, he didn't. He went to Denver in the middle of the mountains and kind of got his ass kicked, and he ended up going all the way to Pittsburgh, where things kind of more or less did the exact same thing that we expected them to pan out, one and done. But I still think Gino, he's younger, he's a better built athlete than Russell Wilson. He's, and yes, Russell probably in his prime is better than Gino currently, but we're not talking about prime Russell Wilson. We're talking about Russell Wilson that's nearly 40, and he is a pick machine.
He played okay for Pittsburgh last year.
But he's also not particularly popular. Again, goes back to being not particularly a popular player. We heard in Denver, he wasn't particularly popular. Towards the end of Seattle, he wasn't particularly popular. Richard Sherman has been very outspoken about how unpopular Russell became. And I've never heard anything bad about Gino since going to the Seahawks and turning his career around. Didn't he win comeback of the year?
Yep.
So again, I just think it's a better option than Russell.
Right. Geno Smith, he spent 7 years in Seattle. Yes, he was a starter for the last 3, but he was backup to Russell Wilson for 3 years before he became a starter. Sorry, 6 years, can't count. So he has a good understanding of offense, probably just as good as Russell Wilson, probably even more now, because he was more in the current Seattle Pete Carroll type offense than Russell Wilson had from 3 years ago. So I think it's a better fit now than it would have been 2 years ago. That's my opinion. Shayna, you put your finger up really quickly.
Yeah. I was just going to say, the quarterback market is overpaying, oversaturated at the minute. When a quarterback who's had one good season in his whole career goes to Seattle for 3 years, $100.5 million.
Sam Darnold.
Yes.
I was waiting for that. I mean, Gino was a top 10 pick.
So is Sam Darnold.
He did okay in New York. So did Sam Darnold, as you know him.
No.
I think Gino's developed a little bit better. It's where you land, where you feel comfortable. I think if Sam would have stayed in Minnesota for another 2 years, no one would have batted an eyelid at it. But the fact that he jumped ship and gone to, oh my God, where's he gone?
What, Seattle?
Seattle.
Yeah, so that was it.
Yeah.
That kind of made people go, whoa, what's he doing there? Why is he doing that? There's no one to throw it there, but he's gone. And now it's the same as Gino. He's gone from, yes, okay, he was traded, so he didn't have much of a choice, but he's going to be in that same situation. Gino was comfortable in Seattle. He was doing okay in Seattle. He had a fair, I've got his stats in front of me. He threw for over 4,000 yards twice in 2 seasons he was starting. The only season he wasn't at 4,000 yards, he was missed 3 games due to injury. So his pass rate is okay. But going to a different franchise where it might not suit him because it's different atmosphere, different people to throw to, doesn't quite.
Also, yeah, Gino has a better pass completion record than Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
And he's threw less interceptions. So it's...
Yeah, but Sam Darnold was put in a no-win situation in New York. I mean, he had to contend with Adam Gase as head coach. So I feel like.
But then Gino had the same. I mean, Gino had the same in New York as well. He was set up to fail. I mean, let's not judge a quarterback by how they end up in New York. I mean, if we're going to say like, oh well, Aaron Rodgers struggled in New York. Well, Aaron Rodgers is not a horrible quarterback. Gino. Sam Darnold, unless your name is Joe Namath. New York have horrendous history with drafting quarterbacks or acquiring quarterbacks.
It'll be interesting.
Apart from another quarterback, apart from Joe Namath, who's been successful in New York,
wasn't Mark Sanchez okay?
Brady.
Wasn't Mark Sanchez okay?
But
Sanchez butt fumbled, so he's going to be remembered.
Brett Favre? Brett Favre was in.
But then but if you talk about people like Brett Favre, they go, "Oh yeah, Green Bay. Oh, and he really did well at Minnesota." No one mentions New York.
No, they don't. No, they don't. But it'll be interesting to see how Justin Fields copes in the Jets this year with the new head coach. I think that's going to be an interesting thing to watch.
I wish him all the well.
I like Justin Fields. Justin Fields.
Yeah, we said about that on Tuesday night.
I mentioned that in the conversation with Matt. How big a fan you are of Justin Fields.
Brock
Well, I
Purdy
can like him again now.
Brock Purdy is a better quarterback than Geno Smith. He's a better quarterback than Sam Darnold, better quarterback than Dak Prescott, or in recent years anyway, at least to be shown he's a better quarterback than Dak Prescott. Seen these guys getting 55 million, 52 million, 42 million. Where does this put Brock Purdy's value at? Being that he's up for contract at the end of this season.
I don't think it changes. I still think Brock's going to get about a 50 million a year deal.
Yeah, I mean, I think unfortunately, what's negative towards Brock is almost twofold. The first thing going against him is where he was drafted, Mr. Irrelevant, the last and blah blah blah. And then the second thing that goes against Brock Purdy is unfortunately him being assistant quarterback. So it's the system that counts in San Francisco. Kyle Shanahan's the brains, and you can just plug and play any quarterback, and they'll use like Jimmy Garoppolo, Trey Lance, Nick, CJ Berthold. Who was the other one who did we bring in as a free agent when Kyle
Josh Dobbs,
Brandon Allen?
We had the Pastronaut. We had
Brandon Allen.
Jones.
He's not played yet.
But I just think that goes against him. But if you take all that out of the equation, his first season in the NFL, he took the 49ers to the NFC Championship. His second season in the NFL, he took us to the Super Bowl, and we're one play away from winning the Super Bowl. Last year was a horrible go because he was playing injured for the rest of the season. The team were unmotivated. Problems at coaching, problems in the back, problems with just the whole roster as a whole. But we have proven that Brock Purdy can beat the best. He's beaten the best, and he is a very, very top tier quarterback. So if we think he's going to rank him in like the B tier, which is fairly, it's fair, isn't it? Like if you think the A tier is your Mahomes, your Allen, your Burrows, your Hurts, your Jacksons, if we're going to just be kind. But he's very comfortably in the B tier of those other quarterbacks, and I think he should get paid that. I think very much 50 million is very, very fair for that type of player in this type of market.
You were saying
getting 45 to 50 easily.
Yeah, 100%.
You were saying about the fact that he took the Niners to the NFC Championship game and came within an eyelash of winning Super Bowl. Phil, not being funny, if you played in goals for Real Madrid, even you could get the Champions League final.
Yeah, how's your quarterback doing in playoff wins?
I'm just saying. I'm not throwing shade. I'm just saying that because he plays with a very, very good team on both sides. Well, sorry, they were before they decided to bin off a lot of their players. They were really good at the time. So yeah, I mean, he came from, who would have picked this? This is the stuff Hollywood dreams are made of. This is the stuff that you could write a film about. Mr. Irrelevant going on to literally within an eyelash of winning the Super Bowl in his second season. Film.
I believe there is a film coming.
Yeah, it's called American Underdog.
Exactly, right? So not throwing shade. He's got a lot of good players around him. Could you imagine if they had a better quarterback in that system? They may have been champions 2 years ago.
I think I still blame Shanahan's play calling.
Yeah, I blame Shanahan.
Yeah, I mean, going back and while I remember that Super Bowl, I don't remember Brock making mistakes.
He didn't.
No, it was poor play calling.
Yeah, okay, the strength of my Josh Allen might have got him a little bit more. Yeah, okay, the arm talent of Mahomes might have got him a little bit more. The running power of Jackson might have got him a little bit more, but doesn't mean they're going to do it. Only one of those three quarterbacks I mentioned there has won a Super Bowl.
Only one of those three quarterbacks you mentioned has been to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we still have money yet, don't you?
No, because
you forget a lot. See,
that's why you wear purple, because you're always choking.
Mate, the Patriots
don't encourage him. If you're not jokes as old as OBH. Come on now.
Hey, you're only a couple of years younger than me. Shut at you.
Stop saying that. No, I don't like that.
Yeah, have you noticed? Have you noticed 2 old people glasses, the 2 young people no glasses?
Well, parents isn't much younger than us.
It runs in the family. Bad eyesight runs in the family. Okay.
I think parents might beg to differ on that.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't have any greys, so
It's because you dye your hair.
Your hair's coming back too.
yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Right. Ladies and gentlemen, last week started spring ball. We are going over to our resident expert of the UFL to give a 10-15 minute recap of the game. It might be even less than that because I might get bored and just bin it off.
Oh no, don't do that. All right, so the UFL United Football League started last Friday night. Now I watched this game. It was, what did I watch it on? Was it on ESPN? Anyway, so fairly one-sided. I really do like the Seattle Battlehawks as a team, as an organization. Seattle is one of
it's St. Louis Battlehawks.
That's what I said, didn't I?
No, you said Seattle twice.
Did I say Seattle? Oh, I'm sorry. I forget about the Sea Dragons, RAP.
Sea Dragons.
So, sorry, the St. Louis Battlehawks, because like St. Louis is such a sport-hungry crowd, and losing the Rams again has, was not particularly great. So, like, when this merger happened and there was like questions of like which teams were going to survive from the XFL and vice versa, I'm really, really glad that the Battlehawks managed to kind of like continue to exist, because they are one of the few XFL teams whose crowd actually turns up for games, and that's going to be one of my talking points towards the end of it, because I actually think the UFL, Dwayne and his ex-wife, and the organizations involved, that they've done a really, really poor job of advertising this to fans and advertising it in general. And I don't think that's particularly helped. But the first game, the opening game on Friday night, it was the Battlehawks 31, the Houston Roughnecks 6. For comparison, this is the equivalent of not the Chiefs necessarily, but like the Eagles taking on the Raiders. The Roughnecks have never been a good team in their entire existence. This was incredibly one-sided kind of affair, and the Battlehawks amassed, I've got 460 total yards, including a 275 rushing record as well for the organization. Saturday was the game that I watched because, being a Renegades fan, this was a little bit more competitive, even though not so much in the grand scheme of things. We've got the Stallions against the Renegades. It was a decent matchup. The Stallions, as I mentioned last week, are the defending champions. The Renegades took a huge lead to begin with, but the Stallions eventually ended up winning 27-14. All right. And then looking then on the other games, the San Antonio Brahmas 27, the DC Defenders 12. The Beer Snake did come back for the DC Defenders. They're actually, in fact, that was actually the highlight of this game. They kept cutting to the audience to show how big it was after every series, and they've cut to like commercial break and then come back, and then so at one point it actually was from like the top of the stand all the way down to the field, and that was really, really cool to see. I don't think it broke the record.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it didn't break the record that they currently have, but it was really, really good. And to finish off the weekend, we had the Showboats winning 18-12. I don't know if you mentioned like off air that you saw some of the stuff on Twitter. I watched 2 of the 4 games in full. Really, really disappointed with like the fan turnout. Now I don't know whether or not that's ticketing prices, but I can't imagine them being very expensive. But the uniforms look great, the sidelines look great, the plays are actually better than it has been in previous years. I think a lot of emphasis has been on making it more engaging. I just don't think that it's been advertised well to the audience, the fans. I think that's the one negative that this whole experience has done. It's been very difficult to bring new fans into the equation. In fact, it's roughly estimated that 1 in 4 podcast hosts actually watch the UFL. So it's not so it's not a particularly
2 in 4 podcast hosts turn up every week.
Ooh.
Oh yeah. So So that's the thing to really focus on. I wonder whether or not attendance, and actually I haven't even looked to see how the TV audience has actually been, because it's been on Fox, main Fox. It's been on ESPN, not ESPN One or Fox One or anything like that. It's been on the main.
Ocho.
Yeah, it's been on the main kind of like channel. So I don't really know what's going on, but I'm going to watch the games this weekend. I haven't got the fixtures in front of me because I've actually got the app on my phone and I'm talking to you guys via my phone. But yeah, it's been all right. It could be better.
God, he calls himself an expert.
What I did? I am an expert.
You know what? He did a better wrap up than I could have done.
Yeah, that's
give him
fair.
that.
Right. UFL Week 2 games. We have the Stallions at the Panthers.
Stallions win. I'm calling it now. Stallions win.
The Michigan Showboats against the DC Defenders.
DC will get their first win.
Houston Roughnecks against the Arlington Renegades.
The Texas Derby. I'm going to go Renegades.
And the St. Antonio Brahms.
Promise.
Against St. Louis Battlehawks.
Now that, I'm calling this now, that will be the game of the weekend. That is two really middling teams that have some quality but also some holes on both sides of the ball. I think that will be game of the weekend.
So fans can watch all UF games live starting Fox on Friday. Additional broadcasting will be on ABC, ESPN, and via Fox, CSI, and ESPN's streaming platforms.
Yeah.
Cool. So overall, out of the games, you said they were pretty much one-sided. What's the level like? Is it college level? Is it high school level? Or is it just?
Well, I think it's a nice
preseason.
I would actually say it's like a 0.1 level above college. The fun play calling is there. Like we talk about, like in the NFL, where it's very serious because it's the best of the best of the best of the best of the best. Or sometimes in college, it could be like a blowout. It could be seem like just a bit of a fun shootout kind of thing. I would say it's like 0.1 grade up from college and like a mid-college kind of like grouping. So like not necessarily like the Big Ten, but it's definitely kind of around that kind of area. If you think of, or basically think of it as a league of all the players that would have entered the draft but knew they were never going to get picked up. I think that's the best way to describe it. Where you've got it's a bit like, it's almost like a bit like a last chance you kind of scenario where you didn't get drafted in any of the 7 rounds and no one really looked at you in free agency, but if you still want to like knock the ball around and get paid a couple of $100 a week, come play for the UFL for a wee bit. It's definitely better than Canadian football, I will tell you that now. And being a big fan of Britball, it is better than Britball. I'm really sorry to my friends, but it is so much better than Britball. But it is enjoyable, gents. Like, I know I pipe on about it, but it is an enjoyable experience. The games are quick. The commentary teams are really good. It's not insufferable. There's no major controversies. There's no major news talking points. It generally just feels like a bunch of semi-pros wanting to just play football and have fun. And there just happen to be a $1 million business made of it.
Fair enough. That's all good to know. Gentlemen, we are coming to the end of tonight's show. Is there anything we would like to add for the audience participation? And Mr. Payne, straight hand up again. I'm getting worried. He's talking a lot tonight.
I know.
I haven't seen. I've been very solid this week. Like even on our WhatsApp group, I've not really talked because I've been in a bad mood for various reasons, and because I'm like that, listeners, and especially my friends at school and even my students that might be listening, is that if I'm in a bad mood, Mr. Perrins just kind of like locks himself away and sulks by himself so he doesn't project onto anybody else.
I wish I could do that. If I have a bad mood, everyone knows about it.
Yeah, because you post on Facebook.
Yeah,
I do, yes.
Yeah, and to be fair, it's kind of on brand. Like if I'm being like very much, I look like a vampire at school wearing all black with long black coats and big black hair. That if I'm sulking, it's kind of on brand. Like it's I'm not really a sulky Mardy teacher, but it's kind of like, oh yeah, it's Karen being Dracula for the month. But I just want to say, we mentioned it off air. We kind of joked about it a little bit, but one of my favorite actors passed away on April 1st. It wasn't an April Fool's joke. I thought that it was Val Kilmer. Now, Val Kilmer to me was a big deal growing up, because growing up as a child of the 90s, one of the biggest films of the 1990s was Batman Forever, and for the longest period of time, he was my Batman. And then when I started getting into films, I fell in love with Top Gun. I fell in love with Willow. I fell in love with his performance in Tombstone and The Doors and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, where he plays a gay private eye. It's a great film with Robert Downey Jr. It's an amazing film. And the last time that I cried at the cinema was actually Top Gun Maverick, and it was the scene that he shares with Tom Cruise, because Tom Cruise is my all-time favorite Hollywood actor, and just to have this like amazing scene on screen, and that was the last time that I cried at the cinema, watching Val Kilmer's kind of like scene with Tom Cruise, and I was really, really upset. It actually affected me the day after, and it's now making me want to watch like Tombstone and Batman again and all those kind of films that I grew up loving, because he was such a great actor, and he was Batman. I mean, if anything, that's the greatest legacy to ever have. He played Batman.
Was it the line where when he asked him who's the better pilot?
No, it was the line where he's talking to Tom Cruise, and obviously because he can't talk because he's got cancer, and he writes on his machine, and he looks at him like he's crying, and he goes to Tom Cruise, "You need to let go," and Tom Cruise replies back with, "I don't know how to," and that just hits. That just really, really hit, because of like just having like generations or years of just like anger and baggage and carrying it with you and not knowing how to let go. That just really, really hit. And again, he made me cry in a scene where he's not talking, because unfortunately he couldn't talk because he'd lost his voice. I saw him at a Comic-Con a couple of years ago after he had like his operation because he had throat cancer, and just to see again, he was Batman. And he's like looking old. He was in his early 50s, or sorry, he's in mid 50s. He's sitting on a chair. He's gone grey. He's like really skinny. Like he didn't look well. And I just remember like going at the time, like, oh my god, that's Val Kilmer. Like, wow, I can't believe that now. So that was the scene where he just goes, "You need to learn to let go," and Tom Cruise goes, "I don't know how."
It's a very good scene. It's a very cleverly done scene as well.
Oh, and Heat! Oh my god, sorry. I just realized Heat, the first film that starred Pacino and De Niro on screen together, and Val Kilmer's character steals the film. He's amazing in Heat. He puts in a better
tried to watch that not so long ago, and I just couldn't get into it. I have to try again.
Oh, it's so like Pacino and De Niro are very meh to me. Like they're good, but they're not great. But like when people pipe on about like Heat, everyone says, "Oh, but Val Kilmer's great." It's the same with Tombstone. Like they're like, "Oh, Tombstone's a great movie," but like Val Kilmer's great. Like that's like, you know, even in like Top Gun, the best line in the film is said by Val Kilmer. You're like, yeah, you was your mouth's writing checks your body can't cash. That's a great line. That's a great line.
Because even Limp Bizkit went on to use it a couple of years later.
Yeah, and like, you know, when he goes, "I'm your Huckleberry" in Tombstone. Oh my god, I think I'm going to be watching Tombstone this weekend. It's such a great film, honestly.
You were saying about Val Kilmer being like, when you saw him at Comic-Con, he was a shell of his former self, and like you tend to remember them as they were. Like when I met Bret Hart, probably one of the best days of my whole entire life. It was in the mid 2000s, where you've got, like, in my mind, peak Bret is 94, 95, 96, you know, greasy black hair, shades, just touch me up sort of thing. But yeah, and then you remember them as they were. But it must be a shock to you to see him like that from knowing him as you knew him.
Yeah. Well, it's like, I mean, just a couple of examples, because I used to go to Comic-Cons quite a lot, and when I've got a picture of me.
Mysterio.
It's me and Dave Prowse, and if anybody knows, Dave Prowse was Darth Vader in the original Star Wars trilogy. And this is Dave Prowse towards the end of his life, and he's like slumped over. He had a stroke, so he I think it was like the left side of his body he couldn't move. And he just, and I was like, you were like one of Britain's strongest men. Like he was like on par. It was the British equivalent to like Lou Ferrigno and Arnold Schwarzenegger. He used to enter Mr. Universe competitions, and he was a strong man. He was the Green Cross code for the generation above us, gents. And to see like Dave Prowse, I'm going, oh my god. And then it was a couple of years ago after that, I went to a Comic-Con, and just casually walking in the crowd, Dolph Lundgren walked past me. And Dolph Lundgren, I'm taller than Dolph Lundgren, Shane.
That's it. What? I believe that because
you're a giant
of a man, but he's also a giant of a man.
I was with Gemma and Gemma's sister, Annie, because like she's a massive nerd like me as well. And I just turned to Annie, and Annie looked to me, and I was like, Annie, I'm taller than He-Man, which was so weird for me to say.
Like taller than Ivan Drago, like.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm taller than He-Man, and I've held on to that ever since. The beauty of cinema, gents. But yeah, it's weird when you see like those famous people. Have you guys ever had, like, me and Shane just talked about ours, but like, have any of you like met like a famous celebrity or someone that you looked up to and gone like, oh my god, they either met your expectations, or you're like going, oh, that's not how I thought they'd be.
Lewis Hamilton, David Coulthard, Jude. Yeah, a lot of the touring car grid, because
I know plenty of car drivers. Name someone famous. I know plenty of car drivers. Name someone famous.
Met a lot of Bolton players over the years.
Stelios.
Never met Stelios. Never met.
Yes.
I met Super John McGinley from the 90s a few times.
I remember John McGinley, boy. I do.
I met the Bolton chairman, well, the old Bolton chairman.
Was that the one that literally nearly wiped you out of existence, or the one that got you to Europe?
The one that goes into Europe.
Okay,
yeah, the iconic one.
What was Lewis like? What was Sir Lewis like, Hendo?
So I met him at the early part of his career. So this was 2007. So he started his F1 career at France. Signed my cap. Really nice lad. Really nice young lad. Really humble.
I've heard that about him as well. Like, he is actually really, because like his dad had kept him very, very humble because of like his own upbringing, like how the Hamilton family, literally worked their asses off to support Lewis. And so I've always heard that about Lewis. That he's actually a genuinely nice guy. That's why I've never slated him, because I've only ever heard positive things about people that have known him and met him and just like been a fan of him.
He's a genuinely nice guy. Even it's like nice guy, really humble, always willing to take time to talk to people and all that. He didn't have to come out and sign anyone else. He came out. He was the only driver of all 24 drivers at that time. No, 22 drivers that came out at that time and met the fans.
That's cool.
So yeah, really cool guy. Really, really nice guy.
Just to finish off, just a quick round the table. If there is one living NFL player that you would love to meet, one living, round the table, who would we want to meet?
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. They just have to be alive. Like, we can't go back in time and go.
George Kittle.
You'd want to meet George Kittle, okay?
I think that's a good shout. I would like to meet George Kittle too. That's not my pick, obviously.
OC.
Yeah.
Love that guy. Absolutely love that
I would love a night on the town, right? I would have a night on the town, a couple of beers with Ray Lewis. We'd have a killer time, I'm telling you now. You knew I'd say that.
I knew you were going to say that. It was either that or Ray Rice.
No, I can't be doing things like that.
What about you, Phil?
I actually think I think I'd love to meet Steve Young, and I know it's very on brand for me, but like the great Steve Young, or ironically, the quarterback who must not be named.
Trent Dilfer.
Yeah, I think I'd love to meet Trent Dilfer and just tell him everything to his face.
Well, when a quarterback Trent Dilfer, you mean? I said.
So there's a little bit of news that's just come out of Detroit. Jameson Williamson and Jamal Gibbs are changing their numbers. Jamal Gibbs is 0 from 26, and Jameson Williams is switching back to switching to his Alabama jersey number at number 1. So it's literally just-
I thought they were going to go with 1 and 2, so you have Sonic 1 and Sonic 2.
Yeah,
That's
that'd be David Montgomery and Gibbs, wouldn't it?
yeah.
You know what I mean?
The old Knuckle and
Yeah.
Sonic and Knuckles. is it?
Sonic and Knuckles. That game was out before you would even thought of. I had it for the Mega Drive. Sonic and Knuckles.
Right. Ladies and gentlemen, we have ranted on for the last hour or so, as we always seem to manage to do somehow. As I said earlier on the show, please go over to JTT Cup. Get involved. Go and donate if you can to a brilliant charity, the Joshua Tarrant Trust. Set up in the aid of young Joshua, who died when he was 16, to help with, children who have had the same kind of illness he has. It's horrible illness that he had. Go and get involved. Go and help out, and more importantly, go and enjoy the cup. Just go have a bit of fun. Chance to win a Jamar Chase signed jersey at the end of it.
That's cool.
That's good.
We'll be back on our screens, in your ears next week. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much and stay safe all.